What's going on, everyone? Anthony Cofrancesco from Data Dive, and this is Office Hours. This week is going to be speed round. We're going to be validating 3 different products in 30 minutes. If you've never joined Office Hours before, some of this might move a little bit quick, but it's okay because you can just book a call with one of our coaches, and then Zach will send you a personal follow-up where you can book a Data Dive training. Some of the things that we're going to go over in here, we're kind of moving a little bit more advanced. So if you have any questions, you can raise your hand. We'll try to take questions at the end, or you can add your questions to the chat, and then we'll help everyone get set up. If you're new to Data Dive, there's 3 different ways that you can learn about how to use the tool. You can use our knowledge base. This is like written articles that explain how to do everything inside Data Dive. We have a YouTube channel, and we have Office Hours. We have 3 sessions a week. So if you want to access the knowledge base, you can actually get to it from the Data Dive website. You just go to the top where it says resources, and then you'll see the link to the Help Center. But if you're inside of the app, you can just click on this icon in the bottom right-hand side of the screen, and you can either navigate directly to the knowledge base, or you can type in a question, just letting people in. You can type in a question, and then our AI assistant will help find the most relevant knowledge base article. We also have our YouTube channel. There's going to be some new videos in about a week up there, but even the ones that are there are quite good. Some of the UI has changed a little bit, so just something to keep an eye out for. Again, if you have questions, just book a call with the team and they can do a one-on-one demo. If you are on the YouTube channel, I would recommend looking at the FAQ playlist. These videos are really short. They get straight to the point and answer some of the more common questions people have. So we record all the Office Hours sessions. You're going to start to see those up on YouTube pretty soon. So if you miss another session, then you can go and watch them there. What I will say is this is the second series, I guess, second set of modules that we have for Office Hours, and we call it Speed Round. So I think I show it on the next slide here. Speed Round is where we are right now. It's all about repetition and building confidence using the tool. Before Speed Round, we kind of did the essential framework. So we walked through what's the essential framework on validating products, like how does validating products work? How does it work from the standpoint of Amazon? Like, how do you look at a product and determine what the risk level is? We walked through like the high level overview. We did the same thing for the essential framework on launching products and the essential framework on optimizing products. So now that we're done with the essential framework, now we move on to Speed Round. And like I was mentioning earlier, Speed Round is all about, we're just going to show you the process over and over and over again so that you can get the confidence to go and execute it yourself. So today we're going to be validating 3 products in 30 minutes. Next week, we're going to be launching 3 products in 30 minutes. And then the week after that, we're going to be optimizing 3 products in 30 minutes. Yep, so that's just the dates there. Yeah, we're going to go through things pretty quick today. We're going to validate 3 products in 30 minutes. That's basically it. So again, if it's your first time coming to Office Hours or you're new to Data Dive, this might not make as much sense, but this is the process, what I call the product validation workflow. So when you have product ideas and you're deciding which one of the ideas should I launch, which ones should I not launch, you're going to go through this workflow. And this is the workflow. We're going to do this 3 times today. We're not going to do every single part of the workflow. Some of it has already been done. Some of this is very basic. So how the workflow is going to work is you're going to start your dive by selecting 15 plus relevant competitors, people who are selling something very similar to what you plan on selling. Then you're going to clean the master keyword list. So you're going to get rid of any branded search terms and any keywords that aren't relevant. Then you're going to do an analysis of the overview tab. You're going to fill out the product scorecard, fill out the profits tool, and then you're going to start the AI product brief. So between all of these data points, you're going to know just about everything you need to know about whether or not you should move forward with launching a product. So before, this process would probably take you about 4 or so hours to complete. And just to set some clear expectations, the first time that you do it, I call this T1, it's probably going to take you 45 minutes to go through this whole process. But once you get good at it and you've had some practice validating products, you're going to be able to do it in about 10 minutes, I'd say. So it gets a lot faster. Just be patient with yourself the first time. especially filling out the product scorecard. It's a little clunky. Some of the questions are worded a little strange, but once you know where to find everything, it's actually very, very fast. So if you're thinking like, I mean, 10 minutes once you've done this a few times isn't a lot, but what we tell people when you're launching products is if you're going to launch a product, you might look at like 50 to 100 different product opportunities. So if that seems like a lot, or you have really big goals for yourself or your organization in 2024 to launch like, I don't know, 50 or 100 products, you might have to look at like hundreds of product opportunities. So if you want to speed up your workflow, there's certain parts of this that are like very, very simple that you can delegate to other members of your team. So things like starting the dive, that's really easy. It's just, can someone go and pick 15 of the top organic competitors, add them to the tray, and then start the dive? Like that's super easy to delegate. Also, cleaning the master keyword list is really straightforward. It's just removing those branded search terms and any non-relevant keywords. That's something you can delegate. I'd say the analysis of the overview tab, you're going to see me do this 3 times today. That's something that you want either yourself or someone who's a lead, maybe a more advanced member of your team doing. It does take a little bit of extra brain power. It's not just checking off items from a list. Same thing with filling out the product scorecard. If someone fills this out incorrectly, it could lead you to believe that a product is less risky than it actually is in reality. Profits tool is quite simple to fill out, very easy, very straightforward. It's just a question of, do they have the right numbers to put in? And then the AI product brief is very easy to do. I'll show you how to get that started today. So you can delegate most of this workflow. Again, when we're going through the 3 examples today, I'm not going to show you how to start a dive. I'm not going to show you how to clean the MKL. I'm not going to answer all of the questions in the product scorecard. I'm not going to show you every part of the profits tool. We covered that in earlier office hours sessions. I'm just going to show you that, okay, all of these things have been done, and then we're going to validate and we're going to analyze the products using that data. So I'm going to skip over this for right now, and let's get into it. I think we're doing pretty good on time. So yeah, in the next 30 minutes, we're going to validate 3 different products. And the products we have today, product 1 is a cat tree, product 2 is kids binoculars, and product 3 is this mini trampoline for children. And so all 3 of these examples, we did a much more in-depth version of this at our conference a few weeks ago, Camp Ecom in Orlando. And so this was just 3 of the products. We decided to go a little bit deeper for office hours. And we're going to see which one of these, if any, passes validation and which ones might be a good idea to launch. You can replicate this same process for any product opportunity that you find, and you're going to see that it gives you a very straightforward way of evaluating products the same way every single time. So what I'm going to do, again, all of this research is done. We filled out the product scorecard. Well, before that, we started the dive, cleaned the MKL, filled out the product scorecard, filled out the profits tool, and then started the AI product brief. So all of this data is done. Now our job is we just got to go in and analyze each of these. So I'm going to copy this link over. I'm going to paste it into my browser. This is just something that Bryant, he's one of our coaches, he's here on this call. He did all of the work on this. It's actually, yeah, it's pretty on point. So within your organization though, or actually I think almost, yeah, within your organization, you can just share dives like this. So that's why I'm able to see Bryant is here, the assignee, because he's on the same team as me. So let's get started here. We're going to look at the overview tab first. What you're going to find is that you can get a lot of really good insights just from the overview tab. And the more that you go through this validation workflow, the better you're going to get at deciding just based on the overview tab if it's going to be worth your time to do a more serious validation of filling out the product scorecard and filling out the profits tool. So here, this is in the master keyword tab, master keyword list tab, and then you're going to go to overview. Let's take a look and see for this cat tree, what does the landscape look like? So right off the bat, I can see that this is going to be a really high revenue product. Total revenue for the category, 3.5 million, with the median being almost 6 figures. So this means I'm just estimating that this is probably going to mean that it's going to be a high budget required to launch. At the top end, these people are going to be selling a lot of units of this product. I can also see that the price is pretty high. So again, probably a high budget required to launch. I can see median reviews are very high. This is very competitive from a review standpoint. Median review of 2,000 with already 4.5 stars. There's a lot of Chinese competitors. About 70% of this niche is Chinese-based sellers. So that might cause a scenario where people are selling this at a very low price. We'll have to take a look and see. We can see there's 284 different ways people are searching for the product. And then this is going to be the most important thing that I look at from a risk standpoint is the search competition strength. So for those of you who might be a little bit new or just a refresher, I like to say this in every single call. This, in my mind here, is the most important metric when it comes to selling on Amazon, search volume on page 1. What this metric means is it's saying out of the 284 keywords in this master keyword list, this seller is ranked on page 1 for 97% of those keywords. As I scroll down the list, I can see their organic rankings are very, very high. And then I can see that there's a lot of sellers that fit this profile. Now, we have this color coding system where anyone who is very strong red, they're ranked on page 1 for 80+% of the search volume. And so in this category, we can see there are 14 people that are at least 80+ or 80+% search volume percentage on page 1. Then we have another 8 people that are strong. And so anyone who's strong is above 60%. They're ranked on page 1 for the keywords in the master keyword list. Yellow weak is 40+%, and green very weak is 20+%. On top of that, these sellers who are categorized as very strong, they're not just at 80%. Many of them are actually close to 100% here. So the reason that I wanted to really give that breakdown is because I can see right off the bat, we have that same breakdown here, that there's already 14 sellers that are ranked on page 1 for 80+% of the search volume. Another 8 that are ranked on page 1 for 60+% of the search volume. On average, the search competition strength for the niche is 73%. So if I want to launch a product to compete in this niche, I'm going to have to compete against 14 plus likely 8 very strong competitors, very sophisticated Amazon sellers before I'm going to be able to start doing well. So I can get an idea that this niche is very competitive. On top of that, aside from the fact that this is very competitive, we can see that the distribution of search terms in this niche is almost exclusively in cat tree, 1.38 million searches a month. And then from there, it drops down to cat tower at 364,000. But after these first 2 search terms, the drop off is substantial. So if I want to compete against these 14 sellers that are already doing extremely well, I'm going to really have to compete on one keyword. There's only going to really be 1 or 2 major opportunities to make sales in this niche. So right off the bat, I can get an idea that this probably is going to have a high budget required to launch, and this is going to be a very competitive niche. So let's go and take a look right now at the product scorecard and then at the profits tool. And we'll see if this confirms kind of what we were looking at. So again, I'm not going to fill out all of the answers in the product scorecard. I'm not going to show you how to answer each of these questions. You can check out the videos on YouTube about this, or you can book a call with the team, and they'd be happy to walk you through for a product that you're looking at validating. But I am going to give you the highlights. And so here you can see that there's a lot of different ways people are searching for the product, right? We saw that there's plenty of keywords, plenty of keyword roots, but the problem is that there might be a lot of different ways people are searching for the product, but the vast majority of those searches are going to come down to the top 2 routes. 90% of the search volume is going to come out of those top 2 routes. So we end this first section with a positive 300. So there's a lot of different ways people are searching for the product, and there's more than 100 relevant keywords with a search volume 450. So we would be doing good at that point. Profitability, this is going to be the same for all 3 products. All the products are going to be around for more than 5 years, and they all can get you an ROI over 100% based on the profits tool. Potential is about improvements to the product. I think for all of these, we said no, we're not going to get any patents. We're not going to really save on logistics on this. But what is hurting us here is this question on design differentiation. So for this cat tree, it's saying there are at least X number of sellers that are selling the same design I plan on selling. And so we said more than 4 on this because we didn't have a unique design for a cat tree. Maybe if you were able to come up with another design, that might help you a little bit more. So this section, we get a minus 150. As you fill out questions in the scorecard, it's either going to give you a negative score or it's going to give you a positive score, right? A lot of these are pretty intuitive. Again, if you have questions, feel free to bring them up in Q&A. But this is where we lose a lot of points in the competitiveness section. So we've got a bunch of competitors that have more than 1,000 reviews. We have a lot of competitors, more than 10, that are on the first page for 60+% of the relevant search volume. So that was any of the very strong and the strong competitors. We have more than 10 of those. The price point right about in the middle. We lose some points here because more than 5 of the competitors have great images and A+ content. A lot of sellers, at least 6 of the top competitors have 4 or more variations. So that's going to hurt us because we can't be the first person to come in and say, hey, we're going to sell this cat tree, but we're going to have some different designs. That's already been done. It's very saturated in that regard. And yeah, that's basically it. This is telling us that the sellers in this niche already have exact match keywords in their title. We're not going to be able to get a leg up over the competition in that regard. And so when you total up all of these sections, you get a score of a minus 100. Now, you might be asking, Anthony, minus 100, does that mean I shouldn't launch the product? Well, you're going to see after I show you the other 2 completed product scorecards that it's going to depend, right? You're going to have a range of scores. Some are going to be positive, some are going to be negative. Some are going to be really large positive. Some are going to be really large negative. The answer, though, is that you wouldn't make a decision on whether or not to launch a product solely based on the product scorecard. It's only half of the equation. The other half of the equation would be looking at the profits tool. And so we've already filled this out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down to the budget, scroll down to the bottom rather, and I'm going to look at this budget required to launch. So this is based on all the information that we input, really estimating the sales velocity at the top end. We're estimating that we're probably going to be able to sell about 5,000 units in a month. So this is going to be an extremely high budget required to launch this product. It's going to cost you, you're going to need probably about $750,000 to launch this product. So we'll get into the full analysis of whether or not we would want to launch this product at the end of office hours. But just between these 2 factors here, I can see it's not the most risky product in the world, but it's going to be risky, but more important, it's going to be a huge budget required to launch. So we'll see how that fits our scenario in the end. Now let's move on to this kids binoculars. We can go to this overview tab and we can start again to get some insights about this niche for this kids binoculars. So much less revenue compared to the other niche. I'm guessing it's going to probably mean we need a lower budget required to launch. Also a much lower price point, median price point of $16. Some people selling it as low as $5, and then some people selling it as high as 30. So on the low end, it's going to be pretty price competitive, it seems like. Reviews very competitive in this regard, median reviews of 1.7 thousand. Also 60% dominated by Chinese sellers. I'm guessing that the Chinese sellers are the people who are selling this thing for $5, or where was I? $5 here. We can take a look at that in the master keyword list. Now, a very different keyword list from the cat tree that we looked at a minute ago. That product had like 230 different ways people are searching for this product. This niche only has 19 different ways people are searching for the product. From a competition standpoint, again, very strong. We've got 22 competitors here that are very strong. Another 1 competitor here that's strong. So we're going to be competing against a lot of people. The niche average almost as competitive as the cat tree, 77% on average. And then we're seeing a similar story here, right? Binoculars for kids, kids binoculars being the 2 largest search terms, and they dominate a majority of the searches for this category. So if we want to compete with these 22 very large sellers, we're going to be having to get sales from binoculars for kids and kids binoculars. So not a lot of opportunities to make sales. So let's look at the product scorecard and look at the profits tool and see if it matches that analysis we have from the overview tab. And we can see here, it's not looking good, right? The score here is minus 650. And the why we arrive at this minus 650 is because unlike the other product, there's much fewer root keywords, only 4 or more. So that's not helping us very much versus if we had 7 or more, we get 250 points. Again, there might be 4 or more different ways people are searching for the product, but vast majority of searches are going to come down to those top 2 routes, and then very few keywords with search volume greater than 450, less than 30. So we're losing 150 points on that section. This is the same. Okay, product's going to be around for more than 5 years. ROI is going to be over 100%. Potential, I think this is very similar to the last one as well, that there's already a lot of people selling similar designs. So if you were to say, hey, maybe I can come up with a new version of a kid's binocular, a really cool design, then you could say, hey, my design is original, but it doesn't necessarily help you right off the bat, because what you would have to do after this is you'd have to say, I tested my product design against the top 3 sellers, and the only way you're going to get points with an original design is if you have either 25 to 40% of the votes, but more importantly, if you can get 40% of the votes on a new design, you know, it could change things around. But for right now, we're going to say that we did not do that. We don't want to develop designing a new kid's binoculars. And so we're still going to be at that minus 650. And now, again, you're going to notice the trend when you're filling out these product scorecards is that most of the time you're going to lose your points in the competitiveness category. And that's exactly what happened here. So reviews, we've got more than 7 of the competitors with 1,000 reviews. We had 22 people that were very strong. So it's definitely more than 10. So this is kind of what we would call a deal breaker. There's already 10 people in that niche that are ranked for 60+% of the search volume. This is a niche that you should be careful of joining unless you're pretty sophisticated. So price point right about in the middle, although I think, is that right? Yeah, so it's right above that threshold. It's almost low enough that it would make us go even more negative. But because there's some people selling this at a higher price, we're going to break even on points there. But I will say, because I've looked at this master keyword list, check this out. Let's see. Yeah, like some of the top sellers, $5, $6.99, $7.99, $9.99. So some of these people, and not a big surprise that the cheaper sellers, cheaper priced options are based out of China. These are probably manufacturers of the product. Like you probably cannot sell these kids binoculars for $6.99 and be profitable. Anyway, that's kind of a little tangent there. Also, wow, this is crazy. In this category, at least 5 of the top competitors are bought and sold by Amazon, so they're Amazon vendors. Yeah, look at this. So you can see in the seller's country, if this is ever Amazon, these are sellers that are on Vendor Central. So these are going to be very hard to compete with. Amazon is purchasing their inventory up front, and it's giving you a breakdown of that here. So 18 in China, 3 in US, 1 in Germany, 1 in Australia, 1 in, I guess that's maybe UAE, and then 5 from Amazon. So already tons of people doing variations, so we can't be the first people to come in and have variations on this product. So in the end, we have a score of a minus 650. Anthony, is that a good score? Is it a bad score? Well, look, it's much lower than the last product we did. So if I'm saying, what's the risk level of these 2 products? Well, the other one's going to be like a little bit risky. This one's going to be very, very risky. I don't know if you can see my hands. This one's going to be very risky. But remember, we don't want to look just at the score of the product scorecard. We also want to look at the profits tool. And we're going to go down to the bottom here, and we can see that this product is most likely going to have about $143,000 budget required to launch this product. Okay, so let's move on to the last one here. We've got this kid's trampoline, and we're going to go to the overview tab, and like, wow, very, very different view from the other 2 sheets that we looked at. And this is the whole point of doing speed round, is because I found that when I was just showing one example at a time, some of these concepts can be a little bit abstract, but when you see this over and over and over again, I think you can start to see how the more that you do this, you're going to be able to pick up on trends, and you're going to be able to do the same kind of analysis that I'm doing right now, you'll be able to do yourself. So in terms of revenue, I'm still guessing it's going to be a pretty high budget required to launch, around similar as last time, like 150 grand. There's a lot of volume that's going through this niche. Also, it's a much more expensive product, so our price point is $80. Now, from a review standpoint, much, much less competitive. So median reviews are only 217. That's something we can potentially work with. Seeing still a lot of Chinese sellers, not necessarily a deal breaker. Search competitions. Well, before we get to search competition strength, 65 different ways people are searching for the product. So not as many as the cat tree, not as few as the kids' binoculars, right about in the middle, but still a pretty healthy group of keywords to look at. This is what's giving me a little bit of hope. Search competition strength on average, instead of being 75% like the last two products, this one's a lot lower at 30%. We've got 4 sellers that are very strong and only 5 more that are strong. So there's some people that are doing very well, but the vast majority of people are not super well indexed when it comes to the 65 keywords driving sales for the niche. The other thing that gives me a little bit of hope is this. Now, this chart here looks very different to the last 2 products that we looked at. For the last 2 products, we had one really big bar. We had another bar that was, you know, a little bit smaller, but it was like 2 keyword groups were driving most of the search volume for the niche. In this example, we have a much more smooth downward arc here. So we're able to get sales from toddler trampoline, from indoor trampoline, from kids trampoline indoor, trampoline for kids, which is different, mini trampoline for kids, toddler trampoline indoor. There's a lot of different ways people are searching for the product, but they all get a good amount of search volume. So that's definitely going to help us a little bit. I can also see here that this is somewhat seasonal, that this product is going to be a lot larger during Q4. So just something to keep in mind. So again, let's go and look at our product scorecard, and we will look at our profits tool and see if our analysis in the overview tab matches up with how everything looks here. So, okay, this is our first positive score of the day. It's a positive 350. And so for traffic distribution, we're pretty much all positive here, actually. 7 or more keyword routes. And the good news is there's a lot of different ways people are searching for the product, but the top 2 routes, they're not making up 90%, almost all of the search volume. They're actually making up less than 50%. So there's a lot of different ways people are searching for the product, but the search volume of those other ways are actually significant. So this is all looking good here. Profitability, product's going to be around for more than 5 years. I don't know if I changed this earlier. I don't think I did. We'll have to look at the profits tool, but I'm guessing this ROI is under 100%. And I'm guessing that the reason for that is the cost of goods of the product, in addition to the logistics fees that we're going to pay for this, it's going to be a little bit harder to be profitable. So we'll take a look at that in the profits tool. We said that we couldn't get any kind of utility patent, design patent, or change any of the fulfillment. And then again, we've got a lot of people selling similar designs. Unless we want to spend some serious time designing a new trampoline or maybe like a fancy net that no one else has ever thought of, you're probably going to be selling something similar to people that are already in this niche. And then surprisingly, in the competitiveness section, we don't lose a lot of points. And the reason that we don't lose a lot of points here, like we did on the other 2, is because very few of the competitors have more than 1,000 reviews. We only have a small handful of people that are indexed for more than 60% of the MKL. The price point is a little bit higher. The thought here, really, with average price point is that the more expensive you're selling a product for, the lower risk it is, because as Amazon, as everyone knows, a few weeks ago, increased all of the fulfillment fees. You can go very quickly from having a profitable product to having a not profitable product. PPC costs go up. So larger price items are going to give you a little bit bigger of a buffer. We do have some vendors in this category, so something to be aware of. I wouldn't say this product, it's not like it's specific to an entire season. If we wanted to be really critical, we could switch this from product can be sold all year round for product is for an entire season. I'm just going to leave it like this because it is sold year round, but there is going to be a lot more demand in Q4. Not many variations on trampolines. That's not super surprising. So in the end, again, we're going to have a score of a positive 350. Let's take a look at the profits tool. And we can see here that we're going to have a budget required to launch of about $185,000, which kind of makes sense. Yeah. Okay. More expensive, higher priced product. So where are we? We've validated all 3 of these products. I think in the next couple of slides, it's going to show me in the analysis So on the cat tree, we got a minus 300. We had a budget required to launch of 746K. The notes, high volume, very similar designs, very strong sellers, right? Super competitive. On product 2, the kids' binoculars, we ended up with a score of a minus 650, budget required to launch of 143K. Very few keywords, highly competitive. Yeah, not looking good. And then on the kids' trampoline, we had a score of a positive 350, budget required to launch of 185K. There were some interesting style options, like maybe we could change that. We could make some variations on this. But also something to keep in mind is it could have high fees due to the weight and size. This is going to be a very large dimensional item product. So now those were just 3 products that we would look at. Like I said earlier, what we're teaching people inside Inner Circle is if you're launching a product, you're probably going to want to look at like up to 100 product opportunities. And from there, you're going to order 3 to 5 samples, and then you might launch a subset of those products. When it comes down to the real world scenario, though, in terms of like, would I launch this product? I'm going to give you 2 different scenarios. The first scenario I'm going to give you is from my standpoint, right? So this is like my personal standpoint right now. And so all 3 of these products, including the mini trampoline, is going to be a no-go for me. Right now, I've got about a $30,000 budget that I can use to launch a product. And ideally, I'd like to launch a couple of products with that budget. So all 3 of these, it wouldn't matter how they scored on the product scorecard. It's just going to completely get excluded based on budget required to launch. I'm going to need to go and find products that have a lower budget required to launch. And ideally, they're going to have a higher score on the product scorecard. Just to give a reference point, like Bryant just launched a product at the, like maybe in the beginning of end of Q4, I guess, like early December. Product launch is going really, really well. You're going to see in the real world case study section of office hours that we do a few weeks from now, we're going to dive into that a little bit more. But that product had a very high score on the product scorecard. I'm saying like in excess of 800, I believe it was. And the budget required to launch was very, very low. It's like a home goods product. It's very, very small. And the volume of that product was just very low. So these product opportunities do exist. Since then, he's launched a handful of variations. Been like working a lot on this. We're excited to share this case study with you. So if you're looking at products and you're like, man, these scores are just too high or too low, I guess, the budget required to launch is just too high. Just keep looking, keep digging, and fill your funnel with more product opportunities. Now, on the other hand, right, let's say that the scenario shifted and it's not me who needs to launch this product. Let's say you're a larger organization and let's say you have an Amazon brand that's already doing very well, and you're saying, okay, we've got $250,000 to launch products in 2024. I think very reasonable budget for a lot of business owners out there. They're looking to say, okay, we're going to spend $250,000 to launch products in 2024. Would any of these products pass validation? Well, it depends, right? I think the trampoline, if you had synergies and selling maybe larger items or fitness equipment or children's related products in the past, and you're like, okay, look, this is not a competitive niche. There's a lot of volume on the top end, and we've got the budget to launch this product, then maybe you might look at this and say, yes. For the other 2 products, I can't imagine they would pass validation for many people unless they were very I'd say sellers with a very large risk tolerance, especially that cat tree. We're looking at $750,000, and it's going to be very difficult to climb the ranks to compete with the people that are already in that category. Now, for the scenario, though, of that larger seller with a $250,000 budget, what you would still have to do is you'd still have to say, okay, you wouldn't want to just say, well, we got a positive score on the scorecard. We have the budget to launch this product. Let's go take this to Amazon. What would be smarter to say is, okay, we have a $250,000 budget to launch this product. This is going to take up almost all of that budget. Can we go and keep filling our pipeline with more product opportunities? And maybe we find something that has a slightly lower budget to launch the product. Maybe you could get down to like $40,000 or $50,000. You could launch more products, and you could even find scores, product scorecards that had a higher score on the scorecard.